Hi, this is part 2 of the knee joint. We will now be covering the posterior muscles, starting with the hamstrings. Hamstrings have 3 muscles: bicep femoris, semitendinosus, and semimembranosus. We are familiar with this muscle because it is a hip extender. But now you're going to learn that the hamstring muscles partake in knee flexion. They bend the knee. And so we would like to make sure that we cover some information. The hamstrings are really known as the walking and the running muscles of the body. Because they're located on the posterior side, they are assisting us with walking, not only in the extension of the hip, but in the flexion of the knee. And so it's very important to be able to be a good runner and jogger. We need the strength of this muscle. The function of the hamstring is an accelerator. So the quads are decelerators, whereas the hamstrings are accelerators, which means that if we want to propel ourselves, if we want to move forward, we need these hamstrings. So whether you're a walker, a fast walker, a jogger, or a runner, our hamstrings are vital to the acceleration process. In order to keep your knees free from injury, you need to make sure that you keep the hamstring muscles and the other flexor of the knee muscles nice and strong, and also improve their flexibility. Notoriously, the hamstring muscles have been known to be quite weak in flexibility. So you want to make sure that you do everything you can to strengthen and stretch them. And not only that, it is common to strain these hamstrings. So let's review where they are located. This is gluteus maximus, and I'm going to remove this one side so that we can really get to see these muscles. So your hamstrings are located posteriorly. On the lateral side, bicep femoris. In the middle, semitendinosus, and then a little strip that you can see superficially, semimembranosus. And so that's where that muscle is located. Those are your hamstrings. So a little review: bicep femoris is going to have an origin of ischial tuberosity, linea aspera on the posterior side of the femur, as well as lower that condyloid ridge. And then its insertion is going to be, you can see the tendon here, it's going to attach itself to the lateral condyle of the tibia, as well as the fibular head. Its actions: 2-joint mover, hip extension to bring the leg back, and then now knee flexion. It helps to bend the knees. Next muscle, semitendinosus. Origin, ischial tuberosity, and then it comes down to the medial side. And let's see if we can get all the way in there. It attaches on the medial condyle of the tibia. All right. The actions of semitendinosus: hip extension and knee flexion. And finally, and similarly, is semimembranosus. Semimembranosus has the same origin, ischial tuberosity, and then it also connects into the medial tibia, kind of wraps around there, medial condyle of the tibia. Actions: hip extension and knee flexion. So semitendinosus and semimembranosus have the same origin, insertion, and actions. Another muscle that flexes, it's actually not on the posterior side. It is on the anterior, and it's because of its angle that it does, and that's sartorius. Sartorius. So it starts laterally, and then it comes medially. And so right in here, this is sartorius's tendon, where in the back, you will also catch gracilis and your semimembranosus and semitendinosus. So there's a lot of important attachments on this medial side. But sartorius is a knee flexor. It actually helps to bend the knee. So sartorius attaches at iliac spine, and then it goes to the underneath portion of that tibia. But it's very medial in its connection. And so its actions are to flex the hip, as you'll remember, and now you know it as a knee flexor. It bends those knees. Now we're going to come back. It's kind of surprising about sartorius. Now we're going to come back to the posterior angle, and we're going to find our our hamstring molding into the calf region. And I'm going to take the calf away, and we're going to see a muscle underneath the calf, so quite a bit deeper. This one on an angle, that is called popliteus. That's the popliteus muscle, and it is a knee flexor, knee flexion. And so the origin is going to be this lateral condyle of the femur, and then it kind of crosses diagonally and it attaches to that upper part of the tibia. Popliteus has one goal, and that's to flex the knee, to bend it. It's actually one of the first to fire off to bring that knee up towards the body. So popliteus. And then finally, gracilis. You know it as a muscle that performs flexion and adduction of the hip. Now you're going to find that it is a knee flexor. It also partakes in the bending or flexing of the knee. And so there you have your posterior muscles of the knee joint.